Thank you very much, Amanda. Well, I have a lot to say during the course of this day, together with regional colleagues. So I'm not going to be long. I just want to make some remarks about some special people who have contributed to this process. I want to start by thanking Curtis and his Media Association team in Trinidad and Tobago for, I believe, leading the full re-entry of Matt among the Caribbean media fraternity for this event. I think that Curtis's presence here and his words a short while ago provide us with reassurance that Matt is going to be, this time around, fully engaged with the ACM process. Because believe me, Curtis, Matt has been missing out. I also want to thank the Trinidad and Tobago Publishers and Broadcasters Association, which during the hiatus period with Matt really became our friends in Trinidad and Tobago. Special mention to Kiran Maharaj, who is the immediate past president of the TTPBA, for the sterling work she did, not only with ensuring that the biggest event we have managed in our entire 12-year history came off, which was the IPI World Congress last year. I mean, were it not for Kiran's involvement, I dare say that IPI Congress 2012 would not have been the high-quality event that it was. So thank you very much, Kiran Maharaj. Now, Darren Leasing has come in to attempt to fill those shoes, and I must say that Darren, comes highly recommended from media colleagues. His involvement in the media is not at the level of journalism. Kiran comes from a journalistic background, Darren does not. But I think that Darren's, the level of awareness of Darren's involvement in the press, in the media, is such that he is able to bring a perspective on the media management side that does pay high respect and regard for the practice of journalism. So I feel very comfortable dealing with Darren Leasing, who is the current president of TTPBA, and leading the effort on their behalf, on behalf of the media industry. So thank you very much for being here, Darren, and thanks for all the support for this event. I want to recognize the presence of the Secretary General of the Trinidad and Tobago Commission for UNESCO, Suzanne Sherland, who's here with us. I happen to know a little bit about her work schedule, and she is a tremendously busy person. She couldn't have been with us yesterday at the TTPBA leg of this two-day event, but she's here today, and I really appreciate your presence, and I want to thank you for spending the time with us this morning. So Suzanne Sherland of UNESCO. Amanda Lawrence is a long-standing friend of the ACM. She does have a journalistic background. I think she will still lay very heavy claim to being a journalist still. Her work is journalistic, and she's the one when you see, when you recognize that there are 365 UN days for everything under the sun, and later on this afternoon we'll talk about recognition of International Day Against Impunity, and the efforts made by IFEX and its member organizations to attempt to put International Day Against Impunity on the annual calendar internationally. I think that perhaps Amanda will now serve the more journalistic role of taking that message back to her principals within the UN system. And Amanda stepped in very late in the game when there was some doubt about the venue for hosting this, and I think she has responded with characteristic aplomb and willingness and eagerness and keenness. So I want to say thank you very much, Amanda, for making today possible. Then the regional colleagues around us here, among us here are people who worked with the ACM executive over the past 2 years. Not all of them are with us today for many different reasons. But I want to recognize the efforts of Joel Ford, who served on the executive from Barbados. Joel is also the president of the Barbados Association of Journalists. Clive Bacchus from St. Kitts and Nevis, who played a leadership role with some specific areas of our activities over the past 2 years. Bert Wilkinson, who is from Guyana, those who don't know Bert, the few who don't know Bert in the room here. And you know, Bert is really an ACM stalwart and somebody who, you know, we propose to always keep very close to the process. And then Peter Richards. I mean, so many things within the ACM cannot happen without Peter Richards. And I want to say that Peter has a medical problem that has been debilitating, and the fact that he is with us and even did some taxi duties this morning to 2 fit gentlemen, one from Guyana and one from St. Kitts. And one from Dominica, who all of the 2-minute drive from where they're staying to here. Well, I want to say, you know, thanks Peter for all the support. You know, we don't always acknowledge these things among ourselves when we're working in close quarters. Sometimes it's more like a war zone than a very friendly family type environment. But I want to recognize you, Peter, for the great work. You know, Peter has been on the executive from day one, from 2001 when we met in Barbados, and a lot of people said this thing will never survive. We were described as a press release, internet listserv organization that will never reach anywhere far. You know, press freedom. What press freedom problem do we have in the Caribbean? Why are you setting up an organization to look at press freedom issues? I mean, what is this all about? You know, what is this all about in terms of training? You know, I mean, some media enterprises in the Caribbean. There was one media owner who said that the best place on the planet to learn journalism was at his particular news organization in a country in the OECS, ONL. So therefore there was not a perceived need by some people in the media industry to promote the idea of freedom of the press, because people thought that we do in fact live in paradise and we have nothing to worry about. What is the big fuss about? There are people who thought that their media enterprises provided enough for young journalists and new journalists to learn their craft, so they didn't really see a very strong need for an organization that was spending any time on the issue of training. And then a lot of them, I think, in the media industry felt a little bit threatened that one of the platforms for the ACM was this whole matter of networking and strengthening the bonds among media workers in the Caribbean. I think that some people actually felt a little threatened that if we were able to come together as a single voice, they would continue to get away with practical murder. I have said this openly in the past, and I'll say it again, that some of the worst employers in the Caribbean are media employers, except Kiran, who is a media proprietor. One of the more enlightened ones who I think, there's probably more training within her network ongoing than virtually any other media enterprise of its kind in the Caribbean. I mean, I don't know another media enterprise, Darren, with all due respect to the Citadel Group, where the training is recognized as part of the business plan and the business model. That training, the expenditure on training is an investment, and it's not expenditure as per entertainment or the technology, the investments in technology. It very much is an investment, and as a result, you will hear from my report this afternoon the tremendous amount of time that we have spent on building an infrastructure to deliver quality training to the journalistic community in the Caribbean. When I was making notes for the report I'm going to deliver this afternoon, I was telling Canute, I was just listing point form, just bullet points, and I was into page number 3. And I said, wait, if I add the narrative to this now, I'm in trouble. I'll have one of those Wesley moments that Nazima don't like too much, where you put a microphone in front of me and I start sounding like a politician. But so this is my lengthy. Joe's throat clearing is going to help me bring this to an end. Put people out of their misery for this. But I think that we need to say some of these things in introducing the day's events, because this is the backdrop against which we are all here today. The ACM has survived by its wits and through a kind of entrepreneurial approach to managing organizations. We did an institution planning exercise with a consultant hired by IFEX, and we seem to defy all the models, and Clive is going to present on that later in the afternoon. All of those MBA type models that people have for sustainability of an organization, we have defied it. We are a purely voluntary organization relying on support from intern a network of voluntary organizations with very small resources, and in some cases, dubious levels of commitment to the cause. And we are here 12 years after, with bullet points exceeding 3 pages. When the General Secretary sent me her report, I said, oh my God, even in my 3 pages of bullet points, I miss things out as well. We've done so much, and with what? Peter would know the bank account don't reflect 3 pages of bullet points. Our bank account is a 3-point plan. It wouldn't run, an election campaign on the street that I live. So we've done a lot. People are here, for example. We were able to rely on the goodwill of the IFEX network, and I want to recognize, I didn't mention that we have Barbara Triunfi, who is Press Freedom Manager at the International Press Institute, and also convener of IFEX, which is very significant. We were warned by the head of the Secretariat in Toronto that myself as deputy convener and Barbara as convener, we should try to avoid traveling in the same vehicle at the same time. But we were able to enjoy, through a grant from IFEX, support for this event, the 2 days of events. And we were also able to enjoy, because of the relationship we have with the UNESCO system in the Caribbean, financial support for this exercise as well. And I want to thank Suzanne for maintaining that link, for being in human form, the link between us and the UN system at that level, and also Dr. Hara Paddy in the Jamaica office, who I think after World Press Freedom Day activities in Curacao earlier this year, now sees himself very much as one of us, and we have photographic evidence to support that assertion. One evening of entertainment that we had, where he discovered that Caribbean music is something special. So I want to end there. I have a lot more to say later on, and I don't want to get Nazima angry with me, so I'll hand back you over to Amanda. Thank you.